Hello everybody and welcome back. Today I'm filming my February and March roundup. I decided to combine the 2 months, so you know I have a ton of products to talk to you about today. So before we get started, I'd love for you to subscribe if you haven't already, and let's get into it. So I'm going to start off with the products I was most disappointed by, or the products I just found unremarkable, just so that way we can end on a very positive note. So the product that disappointed me the most was the Kosas Glow IV Vitamin Infused Skin Enhancer. This enhances, alright, everything that you don't want it to. So if you have bigger pores, blemishes, or any texture thing that you don't want to be known, don't go for this because it will make it known, okay? It just catches on it and enhances it so much. I think it's because it has a thicker consistency as well as a thicker pearl than I'm used to seeing in this type of product. And it also has a ton of chunky glitter. So right when you step out into sunlight, you have the skin of a killer Bella. Yes, this is going to look like crushed diamonds on your face, and not in a flattering way. Like, you're going to actually look like Edward and his very textured, shiny skin going. Okay, it's just not it at all for me, sadly. Big pass. I have another skin enhancer type product here that I was also disappointed by. This is the Maybelline New York Instant Age Rewind Perfector, and this is their 4-in-1 glow. I wanted to love this so much. I love how this adds a very thin layer to your skin just because of the way you can apply it with the sponge. But the thing I ran into is that it's a bit oily in consistency, so everything else that you layer on top of it just tends to sit on top of your skin, and it looks unflattering, and it tends to like slip and slide around. So that's the only reason why this is in this section. It's just far too oily for my liking. Another one I would pass on. It just makes everything a struggle. To say these were a disappointment is an understatement. These are the CoverGirl Clean Fresh Yummy Glosses. I feel very strongly towards these is a polite way to put it. I'm kidding, I'm being over dramatic because I think it's fun. They stink, they taste bad, they make your lips numb even though they're not a plumping gloss, and they're so gloopy in consistency. They're one of the worst glosses I have ever tried, and I've tried hundreds at this point. There's a lot of people who have gotten very defensive over these glosses, and I just have to say there are so many better choices out there, especially from the drugstore, and there's actually a few in this video later on. But these are way too gloopy. They taste, I think I've said what I needed to say. And another thing that I did not like about these is I bought 3 shades and they do not look different on my lips whatsoever. And the marketing photos are vastly different from what they are in reality. They feel really nice, like the texture is good, but once you get talking, it just creates those gloopy strings. The applicator is way too generous. It applies too much on your lips. There's just every way that this could go wrong goes wrong. This is just everything I do not want in a gloss in one little tube. It's honestly kind of impressive if you think about it that way. But yeah, hard pass on these guys, hard pass. I have another lip product here. These are the Juice Bombs from Tower 28. I think these are just okay. Like, they're not bad in any sense. They're just a little bit unremarkable. I don't think I'm going to remember these in about a month. They just don't have enough pigment for me, or juice. I wish they had a lot more shine to them and a lot more pigment. I think this is just a personal preference thing. I don't think that they're a bad product whatsoever. They're just not it for me, and that's okay. I highly suggest the lip glosses though. Those are incredible. Or even if you use the blushes as a lip tint, they're stunning. And I think they're way better than these in my opinion. And my last disappointment of the month is the NARS Soft Matte Advanced Perfecting Powder. So I've tried to use this in a few ways, as a finishing powder, as a setting powder, and I feel like every time I use it, I just hate the way my makeup looks. This just sits on top of my skin in a very unflattering way. I feel like it almost ages my skin in the areas I put it on. It just ends up kind of clumping my makeup together. It makes it look really cakey and very makeup-y. So just for that matter alone, I do not like this. Just simple as that. Now let's move into my next category, which are the products I just liked. So starting off with the new Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk Matte Beauty Blush Wands. So initially I was so excited for these, but now that I have them all, I don't really reach for them or gravitate towards them that often. I don't mind them. I just feel like I am a little disappointed in the shades. I feel like the marketing photos look very different than these in person. Maybe it's just because the models had a different undertone than me, so they're pulling a little differently on my skin tone. But specifically for this cooler pink, it pulls super, super peachy on me, and in all the marketing photos, it's like a true baby bright pink. There it is there. It almost looks like I applied this shade on my skin. But speaking on the formula alone, these blend out really, really nice. They feel like a serum blush inside. It almost feels like the same kind of consistency as the Rare Beauty liquid blushes, just a lot thinner in consistency, and it also has less pigmentation, of course. But they blend out really nice and they do stay a long time. I'm going to keep them all. Like, I really like them. I just don't love them as much as I thought I would. But wearing them time to time has brought me a lot of joy. My two favorite shades out of the bunch here are the shades Dream Pop and Pillow Talk. Pillow Talk, I think, is my number one. It's the shade I wore on my birthday. The next product I had in here is the Danessa Myricks Yummy Skin Blush Bombs. So I keep going back and forth on these a little bit. The only downside for me personally are the shades. I just don't like the undertones that they pull. They're all very, very warm. So I just wish there was a bigger variety in the undertones, but these are very saturated in pigment, which would be amazing for a multitude of skin tones. The texture is really nice as well. It has that Yummy Skin balm texture, so they kind of feel powdery, kind of balmy. They're like a really interesting texture, and they apply pretty seamlessly as well. So I think a majority of people would really like them if you found a shade that you adore. But for me, I'm just kind of hoping for a shade extension because that would be awesome. They all pull very, very pink or very, very orange, but the texture and the longevity of these blushes are phenomenal. I only had one issue with one of them fading, and that was just due to the foundation. It wasn't due to this product. So now let's move on to my happy bin. As you can see, there's a ton of stuff in here. I found a lot of gems over the course of the last 2 months. Let's start off with my favorite of both months, the About Face Cherry Pick Lip Color Butters. These are phenomenal. They're so up my alley. They're just everything I want in a lip color. And there are so many shades available. And there's some more funky ones, some darker ones, and some beautiful nudes as well. My favorite shade has been Pamplemousse, but there are some other shades that I just adore. There's one called Dragon Fruit Fusion, which is this super bright pink. Oh my gosh, I could highlight so many of my favorites here, but I actually have like a little swatch reels of all of these if you wanted to see them against my skin tone. They're just phenomenal. The formula is so gorgeous. They're highly pigmented. A little bit of them goes a long way. They're also super high shine. They're pretty hydrating, and they last a long time on the lips. If you're familiar with the Makeup by Mario Moisture Glow color balms, very similar product. They just have kind of a wider, more funky shade range. So if you love those, you're going to love these very, very easily. They just bring me so much excitement, and they feel still really brand new. Like, I feel like I've only had them for a day. Every time I look at my collection of them, I get so excited to apply one, and it takes me a long time to choose which shade I'm going to use. So those have been a very, very seamless blend into my life. I love them to death. I'm kind of going in a funny order, but let's continue with the lip products. These next ones are the NYX Fat Oil Lip Drips. These are gorgeous, and if you love the Dior lip glow oils, you're going to love these and their price tags even more. I love these ones for their texture. They feel exactly the same as these ones, but I find that these are a little bit more punchy in pigment. And I just wiped off my lip gloss from earlier just to show you one of these shades. I'm in the mood for Status Update, which is a gorgeous brown. You can see it has gorgeous pigmentation. It's still sheer, but it still gives your lips some oomph. Oh, and these are what I was alluding to when I was talking about the CoverGirl Yummy Glosses. These are far more worth it, in my opinion. The texture is amazing. It feels really, really nice and luxurious. It has kind of like that thicker texture, but it stays suspended on your lips and it doesn't create those unflattering gloopy lines. My two favorite shades have been Supermodel and Status Update. I just had to fish this out of my purse just so I could show you on camera. Oh my god, my throat is so irritated today. But yeah, I highly recommend you checking these out if you're in the market for a new lip gloss or a new lip oil. These are very special. Another favorite lip formula are the e.l.f. Eau Face lipsticks. These are so impressive and very comparable to other high-end bullet lipsticks. I love these ones' consistency. Oh, hi, Easter. How you doing? What are you gonna do? You're gonna come up? Look who came in to say hello. Give him a hair update. His hair is growing back where they had to draw some blood. He's doing very well. He loves his new food. He begs for it all day. He's doing very good. There's a little impromptu Ren update. Do you want to come cuddle? Just as a side note, I know there are some toxic flowers in these bouquets here. My cats don't come in here unless if I'm in here, and they just aren't interested in the flowers. So they're more interested in the cuddles and the pats. But drawing the attention back to the e.l.f. O Face lipsticks, I feel like they nailed every aspect of these lipsticks. Through the packaging, through the shade range, through the finish and the texture, and just everything is just amazing about these. The one that impressed me the most was the black shade. It is so consistent. There's no streakiness whatsoever. And I like how it has this kind of a sheen, so it doesn't look very chalky against my lips. I've tried so many black lipsticks and they've always been a little too drying, a little too cracky looking on my lips, or they've just been a little bit patchy, where this doesn't have that issue whatsoever. I love how all of these have this nice satin texture to them, so they feel very comfortable, and this texture is very flattering because it's not going to make your lips look smaller, especially if you're wearing one of the darker shades. That little bit of glow is going to help plump up and bring more light to your lips instead of it being a very strong matte finish. They're very comfortable. They wear a long time as well. Some of my favorite shades include Shameless, which is one of the shades I gravitate towards the most. This one here. Dirty Talk, which is a Pillow Talk dupe. That one. And Effortless. Those are the shades that I go for all the time. Effortless is this really cutie pink. I think they nailed it. And I love this kind of magnetic packaging. It's so satisfying to play with. If I'm wearing one and this is in my purse, it often becomes my little fidget toy of the day. Anyways, I'm kind of jumping all over the place, but now let's talk about some base products. First being the Westman Atelier foundation. This is the first stick foundation that I can wear. Usually with stick foundations, they're a bit waxy for my skin type and they tend to break me out, whereas this one has not. I love how airy and moussey the texture of this stick is, and it doesn't take a lot of elbow grease to get it to spread out all over your face. And this is also very adjustable. You can get a full coverage effect or a very minimal effect if you'd like, and it's very flattering either way. Of course, this comes with a very hefty, luxurious price tag. The packaging feels really nice and heavy. I love the magnetic closure again. I personally am very happy that I purchased this one. It's a foundation I've been gravitating towards a lot, and it just feels kind of like an art piece to me as products go. I know this isn't going to be for everyone, but I have thoroughly enjoyed my experience with this foundation, and it wears really well throughout the day. It doesn't move. It's just incredible through and through. I've loved it. And this is another foundation I've fallen for quite quickly actually. This is the Clinique Even Better Clinical Serum Foundation. It's so nice. I would categorize this right in between of my Makeup Forever HD Skin and the Dior Forever Skin Glow. It's very similar to those ones. It has that great longevity, that beautiful sheen, the ease of use as well. I can just throw this on without caring and it still looks incredible. Also, the shade is incredible, but I will say that finding my shade was very difficult online. I feel like if you wanted to pick this up, you'd be better to go see them in person and really swatch them. And I had to get 3 to get my perfect color. Again, this might be one of my new favorite foundations to wear on lengthy days or events. It just looks incredible and it collaborates well with all of the other products I layer on top of it. It's super, super promising and I've thoroughly enjoyed my experience with it. And similar to that one, I also enjoy the concealer version. And this feels exactly like the foundation. It just has more concentrated coverage, which I enjoy. It's really great at correcting blemishes and of course your under eyes. It's not a very blurring consistency, but it just does the job really well without making your under eyes look textured and crepey, and it doesn't really exaggerate anything either. Do not become interested in those. Of course, right when I say that my cats have not shown interest in the flowers, they start to show interest. But going back to this concealer, it's been awesome, and it's also been heavily in my rotation. I have some cheek sculpting products here. Let's first talk about the Milk Makeup Sculpt Stick. I use the shade Toasted, and I actually love the size of this little stick. I know it looks comically small, but there's still 5.7 grams of product in here. I just enjoy this size and shape, so I can really sculpt out my face just by drawing on it directly. And this one has great pigmentation. It's not too much nor too little, but it's just really easy to control when you're drawing it directly on your skin. And it's also a very flattering tone. Cool toned for sure, but it's not so cool toned that it's going to look off. And I love its consistency. It's very similar to the original bronzer, and that has been a product I've kept in my collection for years now, so this just fits right into my life. I'll quickly show you what it looks like next to Fenty Amber. Fenty Amber is a lot more matte and powdery compared to the Milk one. The Milk one has a lot of glow to it. So you can see here is the Milk one, and here's Fenty. So depending on what finish you like, these are your two options here. Color-wise, very, very similar, which is also a big bonus for me because I love the shade of Amber. This one launched pretty much at the same time as the Milk Stick, but this is the Tower 28 Sculptino. I use the shade Getty, which is the second shade in the range. I just wouldn't say that this is very sculpty though. It's definitely a bronzer shade for me, and the shade lighter than this was also not very contoury. Here it is side by side to Amber and Toasted. So you can see here, quite a bit different. It's pretty warm, but even so, I just love this as a bronzer. It has such a nice consistency. It's very similar to the Tower 28 blushes, which is another product I've been loving for years now, except for the shade Office Hours, because that one tends to go off quicker, or the waxes end up kind of turning into balls. Still don't really know what's happening there, but it's just that same beautiful balmy consistency, so it's super easy to blend out, but it has a really nice even pigmentation to it, so it's not going to be streaky. It just applies very flawlessly, very effortlessly, and it also lasts a long time because it does have that kind of balmier, tackier finish, but it's not so sticky that your hair's going to get caught into it. I can wear it all over my face and my hair is not going to stick to my face constantly. It's a really, really nice formula, and I like the color, but I just would not describe it as a contour whatsoever. It's just like a flat version of their bronzinos. The shimmery bronzers. Ooh, these blushes, you guys. I know you already know I've been completely obsessed with them, but I can't get enough of the Haus Labs blushes. I haven't liked anything really from Haus Labs until these came around, and I didn't even think I was going to like them as deeply as I do. A lot of my love lies within this blush here, Dragon Fruit Daze, which is this gorgeous, very bright, cool pink, but the shade Hibiscus Haze is stunning as well. I just love this formula so much. Although they look like they're going to be insanely pigmented, they're just like perfectly pigmented, meaning that you can build them up slowly and you're not going to end up with a huge blush mark on your face. They're really easy to control and build up. They're very approachable. I feel like they're also very user-friendly or beginner-friendly even. They're a fantastic formula. The only downside to them is their hefty price tag. If you're interested in buying one of these, definitely wait for the VIB sale that's coming up in April. I think that would be the best time to purchase one of these. If you can get a little bit of a % off, do it. But yeah, I have not been able to get enough of these blushes. The colors speak to me so deeply, and the formula is just so good. And I'm not one to love like just a simple powder blush, but these are just incredible. They have like a moisturizing aspect to them. They're just so incredible. When you feel them in the pan, they're so smooth and like finely milled feeling. They nailed it. They nailed it through and through. I have two more products to get to. They're both in the eye category. These are the Huda Beauty Matte Obsessions. So there's the cool version and the warm version. I adore both versions. They are so nice. I just think you can get so many different looks out of a 9-pan palette out of these. Although they're all matte shades, they do have some textural differences. They have some cream to powders within here, which really makes these palettes for me. You can achieve so many different things. You can use them as aligners, or you can just use them as eyeshadow bases to enhance other shades in here as well. They're also very easy to use. The formula is perfection. They just build on top of one another beautifully, and they they just are very long wearing, and I just can't get enough of the shades in here. And I'm not really one to rave about Huda Beauty 9-pan palettes like this, but these are so worth it in my eyes and on my eyes. So if either one of these speak to you, I think you would really enjoy them. And the last product for today's video are the Bodyography glitter pigments. And these were immediate favorites. As soon as I dipped my finger in here for the first time, I knew we were going to have a long love affair. Okay, girl, chill. I currently have 2 shades, but I'm definitely going to be expanding. There is a stunning green shade that I spotted on their website, which will soon be mine. But I have Celestial and Mood. Mood is so stunning, just smudged all over the eye. The base pigment in here is so easy to work with. You can blend it up and it will look kind of like you used multiple shades to achieve the look it creates. It also has a really fun duochrome within the brown. It goes to like, it's really interesting. It will shift to gold to pink and this kind of lavendery purple. Oh my gosh, they're so creamy and they adhere to your lid so well without having to use like something to adhere it, without an eye primer or glitter glue or anything of the sorts. And the glitter in here does not fall all over your face whatsoever. That's what really sold me on these. They just stay suspended on your eyes so well, and you don't even have to dampen them. Usually I will always dampen a pigment like this when I'm working with it under my eye on my lower lash line, but with these I don't have to do that at all. It just adheres flawlessly even over my powdered under eyes. I'll give these a nice little swatch here, although I feel like you're going to be pretty familiar with these too. And Celestial is this gorgeous classic champagne gold that's just so light catching. Like, look at that, and look at this. Like what? I'll just blend them out a little bit so you can see what they look like kind of sheared out. They still reflect a ton of light, even blended out. I can't say enough good and amazing things about these. Highly recommend. They're actual treasures to my collection now. They remind me a lot of the Hourglass scattered light thingies that they have like this, but I actually prefer this one better. I feel like they have better adherence. And there we have it. There is my February and March roundup for you. If you feel like I've missed a few products, it's because I actually decided to push them to the next month's roundup. I just needed a little bit more time with them, but there we have it. I really hope you enjoyed today's video and found it helpful. If you did, make sure to give this video a thumbs up. I will list and link all of the products I talked about in today's video in the description down below, so feel free to check that out, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye guys!